This is section 2.3, which is multi-step equations, and I'm going to go through a few problems. So hopefully you can push pause on the video and try it yourself, and if you make any mistakes, I'm going to do the problem right now. So you can find out if you got it right or wrong and practice more if you got it incorrect, or learn from your mistake if you got it incorrect. So I'm looking at this problem here, and I'm seeing there's an equals separating two fractions. You might be thinking, well, there's only one fraction, but there are actually two fractions because we have 1 as our denominator here, and I'm going to cross multiply when you see a situation like this. And I'm going to do 9 times negative 8, and you get negative 72 is equal to 1 times negative 6p minus negative 3 is negative 6p minus negative 3. So I'll just rewrite it, minus negative 3. But we have the minus negative going on here. So when you have a minus negative, then that makes it positive. So I always use this trick. And keep in mind too, if there's nothing to be done with the parentheses, then they just vanish. So I'm just going to make them vanish now. And plus plus is the same thing as plus, so I'm just going to get rid of one of those pluses. And I'm going to move the 3 over because it's kind of floating in what we call in the United States as no man's land. Here we go. Let's continue. I'm going to subtract the 3 on both sides, and I get negative 75 is equal to negative 6p. Divide negative 6 on both sides, and I've got p is equal to positive 75 over 6 because 2 negatives makes a positive. So look at our next one. This one looks a little bit more complicated, so let's try to look at this and decide what our first course of action is. And what I'm seeing here is we're going to have to find a common denominator. So I'm going to, we can do that, or we can change it to decimals, but actually this is going to wind up being an irrational number. So the only thing we can do now is find a common denominator, which is going to be 6. So here I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 6, and I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 2. And now I'm going to get 48q over 6 plus 2 over 6 minus q over 6 is equal to, and you might be thinking that we want to find a common denominator to be 6 over on this side also, but we don't really need to, and I'm going to show you why that is in a moment. Right now, we have all this is over 1, so what I'm going to do is move this over a little bit, bear with me, and I'm going to make the common denominator to be 5 on this side, and times 5 times 5. So I'm going to rewrite this equation now, q over 5 minus, now I'm going to multiply the 5 by that 3, we're just going to multiply the outsides, so 15 2q plus 2 over 5. Now we can rewrite this whole problem, because these denominators are the same, I can rewrite this whole problem over the same denominator. So we've got 48q over 6 plus 2 over 6 minus q over 6 is equal to, I'm going to do the same thing over here, I'm going to write the whole equation over the same denominator. So I've got q minus over 5 minus 15 2q plus 2 all over 5. At this point, I want to combine my like terms. So I've got 48 and I've got negative q here, which I'm going to combine, and I'm going to get 47q plus 2 over 6 is equal to, and I'm going to distribute the 15. Negative 15 times 2q is negative 30q. Negative 30q plus 1q is negative 29q. And I'm going to distribute this negative 15 against the 2 here, and I'm going to get minus 30. And I'm going to write all that over 5. And maybe at this point you see where I'm going with this problem. This is a pretty difficult problem, but I'm going to cross multiply. And I'm going to cross multiply. So by cross multiplying, I'm going to get 6 times 29 minus 30, forgot the q, 29q minus 30 is equal to 5 times 47 plus 2. And these aren't very friendly numbers, but this is a problem that's similar to one in your book. And this is a little bit more difficult than what I'm going to be putting on the quiz. I'm going to go ahead and distribute it. Forgot my q there. And I get 174 q minus 180 is equal to 235q plus 10. I'm going to go ahead and subtract my 174q on both sides. And you're going to get 61q and subtract the 10 on both sides. 61q is equal to negative 190, and divide the 61 on both sides. And you find out that q is indeed negative 190 over 61. That was a doozy. Let's go ahead and look at this next one, which isn't as difficult. I'm just going to distribute the 1/8, keeping in mind that there's just, oh, that's pretty cool. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can move it back over. And I can't, so I'm just going to rewrite it. 1/8. Keeping in mind that there is a 1 in the bottom. So 1/8 times 3d is 3d over 8 minus 1/8 times negative 2, or over 2 is 2 over 8, is equal to 1/4 times d is d over 4, and 1/4 times 5 is 5 over 4. Okay, now we can write this over the same denominator. So over 8, just like we did in the last problem, but this one's much easier to handle. D plus 5 over 4. And now we're going to cross multiply. So we wind up with 8d, 8d plus 5 is equal to 4, 3d minus 2. And now I'm going to distribute the 8 first. 8d plus 40 is equal to 12d minus 8. And I'm going to subtract the 8d's on both sides, and I'm going to get 4d over here. Add the 8's on both sides, and I get 48. And divide the 4 on both sides, and I get d is equal to 12.